It's one of those things where if you're a parent, chances are you've done this before, but you may want to think twice about having or hearing what these next two guests have to say. And this is about posting pictures online. We talk about this from time to time.
I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Now my daughter is old enough, I get her consent before I post stuff, but maybe that's not enough. Maybe I need to be a little bit more wary, but we're going to find out with our guests.
Okay, and you'll find out the reason. I think you can probably figure this out now with social media out there. Emmanuelle Perron is co-founder of the Center for Online Emotional Intelligence. So I thought we'd start with this as sort of an overview and discuss why this idea of posting pictures of your kids is not a good idea. So Emmanuelle, thanks for being with us. Let's start with that.
Yes, hi. So first of all, I'm not here really to judge or to say like this is a wrong decision to post online a picture of your kids, but it's certainly something that you want to think about before doing it because yes, there's risk. And because we're with the foundation going into classrooms to discuss with kids, one of the risks is the kid not giving his permission, so not being like really enthusiastic that his picture is taken and shared with family members or friends that they doesn't even know.
I understand your workshops address 10 to 12-year-olds. So is that generally around the age? Like my daughter's 11 and she started to express it, I would say right around 10, where she wanted to have more control over what images were posted. So is that the average age, Manuel?
Yes, it's the average age because you start to comprehend the, at this developmental state, when you become more of a teenager, you have more of a feeling of how others perceive you and your image and your identity. So you may want to start to control what others may think of you. But the risks that are associated with posting online are not just associated with the kid's perspective, right? There's also misuse of these photos. It's rare, but it's still a risk.
Okay, what are we talking about when we talk about misuse? I immediately think about AI and how those photos could potentially be manipulated. What are the risks, Manuel?
Yeah, so there's AI. There's two. The first thing that we think about is child pornography. Like when you say to your kids, okay, you can play alone in the park, just near the house. So maybe that you will tell them to not speak with strangers. Well, it's the same thing with internet. Even if you let your kids posting about themselves, you have to say, well, there are people out there with bad
intentions.
Behavior. Yeah. So that's one thing. Another thing is just the data of being. There was a case in Toronto where a mother posted a picture of their son with their leg being harmed. I don't remember. Maybe it was a broken leg. And when this kid wanted health insurance, the price was higher because the insurance saw that he was injured before that.
Okay. So there are consequences that we don't, and I know sharenting is the term that we throw around a lot these days, right? Like we're parenting, but we're oversharing at the same time. So your workshops are more for kids, or is there something for parents as well?
Well, when we are doing workshops in a primary school, we're also offering a webinar for parents. So we're saying basically the same information to the kids, but with more a solution, how to manage the digital devices in the home and giving example like that.
Okay.
So I want to, first of all, thank you so much, Emmanuelle. You can stay there. We want to weigh in with Catherine TABAK, Senior Program Manager of Cybertip.ca, and explain exactly what they're doing and how it's sort of dealing with the situation we're talking about now. So Catherine at Cybertip.ca, how do you sort of involve yourself in this?
So as Canada's tip line for reporting instances of online child sexual abuse and exploitation, we are unfortunately seeing the darker areas of the internet where these images are being misused by the offending community. And so we sort of see the impacts tied to imagery from kids when they're babies up until they turn 18 and thereafter. So we are looking at sort of offender behaviors online and things being reported to our tip line. But we also operate a tool called Project Arachnid that is crawling the public web as well as the dark web. And we are seeing not only the misuse of images, but also offenders that are playing out familial scenarios online using pictures that they are capturing from other people's social media platforms.
Oh, God.
And then also fantasizing in detail about what they would do to that child if they had access to them. So we, like I said, we are seeing sort of the darker spaces of where that's happening and the concerns there. And I echo Emmanuelle's concerns tied to really considering the long-term impacts of that with children. As a parent, of course, you want to make sure that you're putting their safety at the biggest priority when it comes to the online space.
So what would be the first piece of advice to a parent considering even doing something like that?
The number one thing for us is really don't post pictures of your kids online. I know it's totally normal as a parent to want to share with your friends, but how well do you really know these people? Sometimes we see these accounts who have thousands and thousands of followers, and it's just not reasonable to think that you have direct personal relationships with all of these people.
Yeah.
But I think the number one thing for us, especially in terms of what we see, is do not post nude or semi-nude pictures of your children, whether that be in the bathtub, potty training, running around the house. I know it looks completely innocent from the parent's perspective, but from what we're seeing in terms of how these pictures are misused, it's really scary.
I'm scared
Shaking
already.
my
Yeah,
head.
me
Can't
too.
believe this actually goes on, but it does.
And I'm just thinking, as the children get older, and like we talked about, posting, yes, but asking for their permission and making sure that they're okay with the images. I mean, really, that there's no guarantee of safety. That can make the child more comfortable, but in terms of what the repercussions could be, the risks are still incredibly high, it sounds like.
Well, and I think even, looking at, kids are going back to school, and we see a lot of parents posting pictures of their kids on their first day of school with little bulletins that, give out the school name, the grade, the teacher's name, and it's so easy to find the location of that child. So it really does present a real life safety risk in some circumstances.
Okay.
Look, I'm looking at you, so your
I
daughter,
know.
and there's things we do as parents when your kids are really, really, as you just said, innocent things that you could think nothing of. But then again, when my kids were little, we didn't have to worry about the internet. You had a print or something, you'd show it to a relative, and that would be the end of it. Now you're basically exposing that child to the world.
Well, and I think I'm being safe and protective and doing the right thing. But I guess the moment you're posting anything already it's already taking a chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, that's exactly it.
At that point, so a parent, hopefully someone's listening now and realizing this is not as, clear-cut as you might think it is, and certainly not as innocent. You're describing, cases where you follow them every day. Typically, how would you get a tip on something like this? Like, how would someone reach out?
Honestly, a lot of what we are having reported into us are forums that are dedicated to pedophiles who are sharing this type of material. We're also seeing specific sites that are being created where people are posting innocuous pictures of kids online and sexualizing them. But we do often see in the context of, parents who maybe have primary custody of their child and the partner is posting pictures on TikTok or what have you. So we do see sort of a spectrum of how pictures can be misused in some cases. But there was also a case in Canada where someone was playing off one child as being their own, and we have parents that are reaching out to us saying, like, we need these Facebook accounts taken down. These are pictures of our kids, but because they're not illegal pictures, it's a lot more difficult to really, of course, our organization would always advocate for the removal of those accounts, but it's really difficult as a parent to try to do that yourself.
We're out of time, but just before we let you go, are all the platforms equally unsafe, or are some kind of worse and scarier than others?
I think if people are going to post pictures of their kids, it's really considering those privacy settings and who you're friends with. But I think every platform comes with its own risks, and there's ways around getting access to information. So I think it's really about what you're comfortable with, and again, thinking about the long-term impacts of what that might look like.
Oh, boy.
Well, look, it's not something pleasant to talk about, but it's best to be aware than to find out after the fact. Thank you so much. Appreciate the time this afternoon.
Thanks.
Okay. It's Cybertip.ca, by the way, if you want to see the kind of work that they do. It's mind-boggling to consider this goes on, but in fact it does.
And prior to that, if you're looking for more local information, Emmanuelle Parent was from Le C.I.E.L, so that's like C.I.E.L. So you can also Google that.